All right, three, two, one. We are recording. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am David Mamano, your host, and I am here to help entrepreneurial achievers and business owners and leaders move forward so that they can reach their potential. I do this by interviewing the nation's best business movers and shakers. Today I have on the show a wonderful woman, a wonderfully patient woman, and I'll tell you why, named Sue Hawks. Sue, welcome to the show. So happy to have you on board. Sue, I can't hear you. What happened here? Oh, I got you back.
Okay. Hello, and thanks for having me, David. I don't know where I went.
You know what? Let's start over. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't hear you for some reason. All right. Monica, take two. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am David Mamano, your host, and we're here to help entrepreneurial achievers and business owners and leaders move forward so that they can reach their potential. I do this by interviewing the nation's best movers and shakers. Today I have on the show the ever so patient Sue Hawks. Sue, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David.
So excited. And Sue, I say you're the ever so patient because we did a podcast last year, and I think it was last year, and you have the distinction of being the only one so far. We had a great interview. I mean, it was really supercharged. Went to go, make it live, and somehow the recording got corrupted. So out of all of my, 170 interviews that I've recorded so far, you are the only one that is corrupted. So congratulations.
Thank you. I never thought I'd be happy to be corrupted. I'm very grateful to be back. And, since you and I were the only ones there, I love that we can say how amazing it was the last time we did this.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Someday, if it ever becomes uncorrupted, we'll put it live and we'll see, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. And if anybody knows Sue Hawks, I think it's safe to say that, that she is the word corruption has never been in the same sentence as Sue Hawks. So,
amen. Enough of that in the world right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, Sue, I'm going to read your bio. Sue Hawks helps CEOs and their leadership teams succeed as a best-selling author, keynote speaker, certified EOS implementer, certified management effectiveness coach, YPO chapter chair, and globally recognized award-winning seminar leader. Sue brings over 25 years of experience to her clients. She is CEO of Yes, and that's YESS with an exclamation point. Yes, founder of Ideal Coaching International Incorporated, and has designed and delivered dynamic transformational programs for thousands of people. Sue has received numerous awards, including the Dreamkeeper Award, recognized by the Governor's Council for her leadership program, the Regional U.S. Small Business Administration Women in Business Champion of the Year Award, the exemplary, easy for me to say, Women of the Community Award, Women Ventures Unsung Hero Award, Women Who Lead by Minnesota Business Magazine, NAWBO, Minnesota's Achieve Vision Award, and named 2018 Enterprising Woman of the Year. Sue's passion is helping people design and live successful, fulfilling lives through powerful leadership, effective communications, no-nonsense coaching, and healthy teamwork. Her most recent book, Chasing Perfection, Shatter the Illusion, Minimize Self-Doubt, and Maximize Success, is available now. Holy cannoli, what a great bio. Are there any awards left for you to win?
Oh my gosh, plenty, but we don't need any more of them listed.
I don't know, global woman of the century. I think that's all that's left. So congratulations. So if you're watching on video here, here is Sue's book, Chasing Perfection. She sent it to me. She even signed it. Thank you. Very personal. And if that wasn't enough, even wrote me a personal note as a bookmark I'm using for the book. So thank you. Nice personal touch with all you have going on. So Sue, you are, first and foremost, I'm going to say that you are an EOS implementer. And the reason I'm going to put that out there is because on the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast, I've interviewed, Gino Wickman, the inventor of the program, the guy that wrote Traction and many other books that are revolving around that theme of traction. And I actually have interviewed a lot of EOS implementers as well. And you are another great one. In fact, we were talking about the award ceremony for EOS, and you are number 3 this year, and right behind Gino Wickman, who is the inventor of the program. And so that's I think to be behind him is I think we would understand that, right? So.
Well, that's a speaking conference for EOS companies. So, and it was last year, just to be completely transparent with everyone, 2018.
2018. All right. So very admirable, because I know, how many EOS coaches are there now, or implementers?
About 310.
Wow. Yeah. And it's a really, really great program. For those of you that don't know about EOS, which stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is, you can really dig deep into it with another book called, like I mentioned, Traction by Gino Wickman. And the way I describe traction in the EOS system is EOS implementers are like that mechanic that lift your hood of your car and know what to do to make sure that the engine is synced up and running to maximum performance. And often the driver, is the driver, knows how to drive the car, but really it's not the mechanic. And I know a lot of EOS coaches, implementers, and it's a wonderful, wonderful program. I've used it myself. I can't say enough good things about it. So, but Sue, I want to learn more about you. What is your journey to becoming such an incredible, businesswoman, coach, consultant, leader, really, of into this path that brought you here today?
That's not a simple answer, but I would say it's fraught with mistakes and challenges and moments of wonderful exhilaration. But like all entrepreneurs, I think I had a passion and a commitment to serve people and to live my purpose and to help. And I very simply say, we help people and solve problems. And I, in particular, am really committed to women business owners. So a lot of my clients, easily a majority, are women business owners of businesses that are $1 million to over $1 billion. And the unique challenges that come because you are female.
And what are some of those challenges in today's world?
I think in today's world, if we're being completely candid, the world was designed by men for men, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for a lot of women, we don't see more female leaders in either the corporate world or entrepreneurially, but we're seeing more and more starting their own businesses, because we get to a point where once our family comes into play, for those of us who choose that path, you start to say, what are the trade-offs? Because there really are sacrifices, male or female. We have to make sacrifices as to where our time goes. And I think for women leaders, we get to a certain age, now that I'm closer in age to that, where you're dealing with aging parents and you're dealing with kids that are still in high school or college. And it puts you in this unique sandwich situation that's not easy to navigate if you're on the road, if you're an executive, if you're traveling a ton. And I think being more of a nurturing personality, and I hate to say personality, and I'm stereotyping greatly, but it's true. For women, I think we more emotionally look at the choices we're making and feel like we're failing in a number of domains if we commit ourselves to our careers at that time.
Yeah, I could see that. I try to be the best the best father to my kids that I can, and I'm certain I could do better. I'm always chasing perfection. That being said, and I hope this doesn't sound sexist, man, there is nothing like a mother's love, right? I mean, these kids came out of you, and I feel like as hard as I try, assuming the mother loves her child, like most mothers do, I don't know if I could ever hit that level, and, but that being said, also, I am excited about today's age with women stepping up and leading more and more organizations. And what I find is that women are more empathetic, they're more compassionate. Once again, I'm generalizing, more willing to talk things through where I think I see men a lot. I don't know if it's our testosterone kicking in, but we're quick to get in a pissing contest, and which does not lead to good things. And I know a lot of women that are running incredible organizations, and I'm in awe at the skill that they have to not only do sales and marketing, but just to create such an incredible culture in the organization too. Some of the best cultures I know are run by women leaders as well. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about more and more women stepping up, and I'm excited to, when I see like the top 100 businesses on Forbes and Fortune, I'm excited and hopeful that we see more women on those lists, right? And start to mix it up a little bit.
We need more. I mean, truly, I appreciate everything you're saying. I think it's still completely skewed. I think, when you hear about, Ernst and Young top businesses, there'll be a handful of women out of the ballroom full of businesses nominated. And it's not because the women's businesses aren't large enough, haven't grown fast enough. It's just a different world. And so we're still fighting for that. And I think a lot of times we apologize for having to work twice as hard to get half the credit. And I think that's valuable and accurate.
Yeah, well, I'm coming from Rochester, New York here, where we're home of Susan B. Anthony, the woman who got
Yay.
arrested by voting. And to think about that. And I think that was less than 100 years ago, right? And then I just moderated a panel at a tech conference here in Rochester, and the panel was made up of five women CEOs of tech companies, and which is still a rarity, especially in tech companies, right?
Exactly.
And I didn't know this. One of the women said, she was being positive about how far we've come, but she remembers I think it was the mid '80s, and I still can't get my head around this. That in the mid '80s, a woman, if she was married, could not get a business loan in her name.
Exactly.
Or a mortgage in her name. She had to have her husband or father, or and she joked, or her 18-year-old son, co-sign, right? And in the '80s, I'm like, in the '80s, how is that possible? So
Exactly.
maybe that wasn't enforced too much. I don't know, but that's certainly happy that law was taken off the books, right?
Me too. Me too. Kudos to you for the panel.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I don't know I wish I could say it was very intentional, but I think it's more of a subconscious thing. Whenever I've created a organization, so my previous company was a national magazine for high school students, and I had about 20 employees. About 75% of my team was women, right? And then when I started Avanti here in Rochester, which is a networking masterminding group. We started out our first meeting with about 42 members, and once again, about 3/4 of the room were women. And I have to say, I didn't go out and intentionally try to do that. It just kind of happened. And maybe it's just my nature where I'm a person who I don't really when I'm dealing with somebody, I'm not looking at if they're a woman or a man or black or white. I'm just looking do I like this person? Right? Do I enjoy talking to them? Are they going to add value to my life? Can I add value to their life? And then it just so happens if sometimes they're 75% women, right? So and I think when I had my big company. I had a leadership team of 5 people, and it was me and 4 women. So, and it was just a great company. We ended up selling it, but anyway, enough about me, Sue. I want to talk about you. So, what were you doing before EOS? How did you get to be such a great coach? And then I want to hear about some of the things that you do to help companies.
Prior to EOS, I was working with entrepreneurs and their leadership teams, still doing some speaking, but primarily focused on the Midwest. I stayed in Minneapolis because I was a single mom and I didn't want to travel. But I worked on the what people would call soft skills of business, which I think really are the big parts of business. I had communication training, a coaching certification company, which you mentioned graciously, did leadership development, still do all of these things, emotional intelligence work, all of these kinds of things. I'm either in a class or leading a class, and it was my, I think unique ability to go in and work with people about getting their people to work together well and to be able to communicate effectively and to be able to lead in the way they are designed to lead without wasting a lot of time.
When you go into a company, and a lot of Avanti entrepreneurs are small to medium sized businesses, and so they're the mad scientist that has birthed the baby, right, and got it to a certain level, and before you know it, we're worrying about payroll and logistics and all this stuff that really is far away from our original dream of impact. And it seems like that's where you would come in and try to kind of reset that passion, right? Reset that direction. What are some of the common issues you see when you come into a company, and what are some of the first things you instigate to like I said before, get that motor synced up and running well?
Usually there's a fair amount of chaos. We're entrepreneurial companies. And so most companies, do what I call spray and pray. They try and be all things to all people. And to your point about impact, they drift away from where is their unique ability? What are they uniquely designed to solve in the world? And if they were no longer around, what would be missing? And I think too often we get away from that kind of purpose to say, where's the money? How do we chase the dollar? How do we become all things to all people? Because we're opportunists at the same time. So a lot of times the chaos inside is around accountability. It's around people. It's around communication. And they aren't as healthy as they can be, meaning being one united team. So regardless of the mechanisms and the tools we deploy, I always say about 70% of what I do is team health. How do you move a team to moving from a team of leaders, really independent, autonomous, successful, open-minded, growth-oriented, smart people who are frustrated, to a leadership team where we are aligned and united, and sometimes we have to have some healthy conflict to not get off track, whether that's with our mission, our vision, our numbers, our sales, our marketing, our operations. It doesn't matter. Our clients, we've got to get them harnessed in so they are going as one team to know exactly where they're going and how they're going to get there.
That's excellent. I know a big part of EOS is there two leaders in the organization. One is a visionary, and that's usually the entrepreneur that birthed the original idea. And we're a little crazy, right? I mean, my type. Shiny bright light syndrome. Oh, there's another squirrel syndrome. And then the other person that you look for to kind of the yin to the yang for the visionary, you guys call them an integrator, correct? And this is the person that says, whoa, Nelly, great idea, visionary, but if you remember, we agreed to these, 2 or 3 priorities, goals for this quarter. So let's take that, quote unquote, great idea you have. We're going to put it in the parking lot, and we'll discuss it at the end of next quarter to see if it's something we want to do for the following quarter, right? And I often call it the Roy to the Walt, right? If anybody knows the story of Walt Disney, he was the visionary, right? And he was, quote unquote, unreasonable, crazy ideas, right? And Roy was the one that kind of held him back a little bit, talked it through a little bit, right? And I think you guys are right on. I think every great company definitely has that Roy to the Walt.
Mm-hmm. Accurate. And both bring immense value. No one can do what a visionary does. No one can found a company, take those risks, get the inspiration, the charisma, the Herculean kind of effort to found something and then get bored with it because it works. And the integrator is a person who says, there's more we can do with this. We have to maximize it. And so often that integrator is a person who has those skills to not just hang with it, but thrive with it. And that lethal combination, a visionary run company has a lot of peaks and valleys. It's pretty erratic.
Mm-hmm.
An integrator run company is pretty consistent, steady growth and not too eccentric and could stagnate or slow. The combination is that wonderful stair-stepped effect where you get a spike because we let one of those ideas in, we vet it, and we make sure that the organization in all its facets can deliver on what was promised. And then you get this huge rise and then you level it out and equalize again. So it's a beautiful combination.
That's great. So once you kind of quote unquote stop the bleeding, you go into a company, kind of, get them running. Yeah, and, what are some of the challenges you see for that next level? So maybe they're doing 1 million or two and they want to go to 5 million. What are some of the next level challenges slash opportunities they have to get to that level?
I think it depends on the type of company and how sophisticated they are, but oftentimes it's getting that next level of leaders in place. So it's letting go for the founder and the integrator to say, or might be finding an integrator to say, we've got to have people smarter than us teamed up with us. So it really is inventing and creating that leadership team because oftentimes to get to 1, 2, even 5 million, you can do it with 2 or 3 people who are very effective and overcommitted and burdened, until they're almost at the breaking point. And one of the things in the EOS community is we all say the bottleneck's at the top of the bottle. You have got to be able to translate all the magic you bring to the party into the organization and get it to translate all the way down so it can be executed without you.
How do you recommend a visionary finding a good integrator? It seems like it's a tough position to fill.
Yeah, David, that is such a tough position to fill. And if they haven't grown up in the organization, because the single most important thing that has to happen between a visionary and an integrator is trust. The visionary has to believe you've got my back. You're going to communicate the message the way that I would when I am out, chasing and innovating and pushing for change. We like to say the visionary is, the space of possibility. The integrator is the space of probability. And so that intersection has a lot of tension to it. So getting the right person who can deal with a very charismatic, really big personality, usually someone who is, able to win arguments and challenges right and left. They have to be able to balance that. And so it can't be a wallflower. It can't be someone who just executes. It has to be someone who can look a visionary in the eye and say, knock it off. You are off base. You need to hear me, and here's the facts, and back it up with data. And what's wonderful about EOS is the tools, when they're in place, allow a visionary to rest on the company is healthy. So I won't question that those things that I see that are off are detrimental. If the integrator really has their back, it's the tools validate the company's healthy, but I can trust that you're telling me something I should pay attention to. Otherwise, a visionary is not going to let go, and they sabotaged their own world to keep, it is their baby in your language, and their ego is invested, and they aren't going to let anything happen to that, and they shouldn't. But in order to start to let go, there have to be tools in place, and there has to be such trust in that relationship that they know it's like a solid bond. They're like one person with two different sets of eyes.
Yeah. And it seems like the integrator needs to be okay with not being in the spotlight because usually the visionary is going to have a little bit more charisma, wants to be the face of the company. And maybe that's the best use of his or her role is go write books, go do public speaking, go do, market the company, right? Whereas and the integrator is maybe they don't want the spotlight. And so it's once again, it's a good yin and yang role.
Absolutely well said. The visionary can be the 911 call for the culture. So not as much one-on-one interaction, but it could be. As the company grows, the integrator and the visionary are one message, but the integrator might say, hey, David, I need you to go talk or do a state of the company address and really, lift the spirit of the company because we've had so much change. They're a little beaten up right now. We have got to hear it from you because no one can, evoke that kind of passionate plea inside of people other than a visionary. They talk to the greater part of us. And the integrator is the part saying, we're going to get through this. We've got the tools and the techniques and all the people in place, but the visionary can paint that picture of the future that people say, I need to just have a little bit more of that.
Yep, I like the way you say that. I need an integrator. So I'm going to be emailing you afterwards to help me with that.
It's really hard to find. It's like a purple unicorn on a full moon day. You have to have core values alignment to your toes.
Yeah.
And if they didn't grow up in the organization, my strongest advice to people is to test and take your time, because you have to be able to trust. You could let go. You could let go of the reins and that person has it.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. Will you move to Rochester, New York and be my integrator?
I would be bad at that. I can help you short term. How's that?
All right. Yeah. You're more of a visionary, I think so.
Probably true.
Excellent. So, as they say, the teacher becomes the best student. And so what are some of your, because you're running a business too, right? You have clients, et cetera. You're speaking, writing books, but you also are a business owner and an entrepreneur yourself. What are some of your own habits and processes and procedures that help you, quote unquote, stay legit, right? Because, a lot of times the joke is, the psychiatrist, well, don't look at his family, right? Don't look behind the curtain, right? And I don't know if that's true for consultants and coaches as well, but what are some of your processes and procedures to keep you successful and habits?
Oh, I think it's true for all of us. I think you'd be lying if you were a human that didn't say you have shaky days. Imposter syndrome is a real thing that everyone deals with. And if you're leading people or an organization, you're going to hit self-doubt. That's part of the deal. So at the risk of being shamelessly self-promoting, I will tell you the book is filled with actionable practices. My go-to ones, I journal. You have to get your thoughts out of your head and on paper. Gino calls it a clarity break. I would tell you, whenever you're feeling shaky, you've got self-doubt showing up, it tells you I need a break to get out of being in the business and just have some space. And I am one to say, in order to have, you have to create space in order to have the space to create. When you're so jammed with things to do, which I am probably prone to do more often, is overfill my day, overfill my nights, get producing too much, I have to create space. Journaling helps me do that. Meditation helps me do that. Exercise, physical exercise, these are the biggies and they're common. I have learned to truly learn to say yes and no better. My company is called Yes, so I still have work to do on saying no. And Gino Wickman, of all the people I know in my life, is the best no-sayer that I've ever met. I mean, so clear on these are the 3 things I'm working on, and everything else is a no. I think it's Warren Buffett who said, successful people learn to say no. Really successful people say no to almost everything. And to take that to heart as an entrepreneur is counterintuitive, because we are opportunists. We see problems as opportunities. We're going to jump in and solve, and we have great ideas and tons of energy. And it's also an Achilles heel. How do you learn to say no so that you're only saying yes to those things that truly, again, as we started the podcast, bring you back to your purpose and what your unique ability is?
Yeah, it is hard to say no because we're so excited, right? And we're people pleasers. We want to make people happy, and we get excited about other opportunities. But I think it was Jim Collins in Good to Great said a company is more likely to die from indigestion of too many opportunities than starve from not enough, right?
Well said.
Yeah. Well, it was Jim. It wasn't me, but yeah, absolutely.
We'll go with both of you.
Yeah, I told him. I mentioned that to him one time, and I was kidding. But you're right. No, it was Warren Buffett. I learned that too. I think the quote from Warren was, that someone asked him his secret to success, and he said, "I say no 99 out of 100 times." And he goes, "A lot of times I want to say yes because it seems like so much fun and great." But he just stays super hyper focused because, especially Warren Buffett, I'm sure he gets 20 opportunities, an hour, and so it is very great advice to stay super hyper focused and secure the beachhead before you move on to the next front, right?
Well said.
I want to talk to you about journaling. So I used to have trouble with meditating because I was trying to meditate. And then someone taught me how to breathe deeply, right? Which at the end of the day is meditating, right? And I'm like, I can breathe deeply, right? Focus on my
Right.
breath. And that's what I did. So now I meditate a lot better because I'm really just focusing on my breathing, right? So now so that helped. And then, I had trouble. Someone said, write a gratitude journal. And I'm like, well, I mean, every day I'm going to write about my kids, right? What else am I going to write about? And I mean, obviously there's other things, but I just felt like it was going to be really competitive repetitive. And then I was taught in my gratitude journal instead to write 3 wins that I had for the day and 3 wins that I wanted for tomorrow. And then my 3 wins usually were things that I was grateful for that day, right? So now I have a gratitude journal, right? Because I just kind of made it work for me. Now, you said that you journal, and I haven't mastered that yet. So, because I guess I just don't know what to write about every day, right? So maybe you could help me, hack that a little bit, right? When you journal, what are you writing about?
Here's what I have done, and this is going to sound like we set this up, but I created a journal for people who don't journal because, like you, most professionals, most executives, most leaders, I'll say, do you journal? And 99% say, I've tried it, can't do it. It's really difficult. I don't have time. It's really hard. I don't know what to write about. I mean, all the common things. And I have 6 reasons in the front why they don't normally work. And journaling is simply emptying your head. So it can work from, getting a legal pad and just writing whatever comes out as long as it's not your to-do list, but it is about creating space. But the journal that I wrote goes along with the book called the Maximizing Success Journal. And it's one question every day. It has a theme for a week. And it gives you a set up your week, much as you talked about having 3 wins and then 3 for the next day. It's a what do I need to do this week? What do I want to have happen? And then a debrief saying what did happen. So you're getting a preview and a review. And it's just a way to simplify it so that if you can dedicate 3 to 5 minutes a day to writing, you can journal like anyone else. And if you don't like the questions or the theme, what I tell you in the front is ignore them. Write what you want on the paper. There's all different ways to do it. You can draw. All it is a free space for your brain to release because we're always putting things in.
I love it. So how do we get that? Is that a separate book that you can buy on Amazon?
It absolutely is. Amazon's your easiest place, or look us up on the web on sayyes.com.
Okay. What's it called again?
Maximizing Success Journal.
Maximizing Success Journal. And we did not set that up. So what a great segue, huh?
Thank you so much.
I'll tell you, you owe me one.
I owe you more than one.
You're sweet. You're sweet. You can find me an integrator. Okay, then we'll be even.
Deal.
I love it.
Working on that right now.
All right. Thank you so much. So listen, Sue, I can talk to you forever. Obviously, the entrepreneurial attention span. I try to keep these around 30 minutes. If you are to leave the Avanti family with one piece of advice, it's the beginning to middle stage entrepreneur. We've reached a point where, stop the insanity button, right? We need that button. What advice are you going to give that person to help them kind of get control back?
The thing I would say is this. We've talked about focus. And to me, in addition to your VTO for your life, for EOS, if you're talking about a business plan, something that keeps you on track with where you're going and how you're going to get there, you need the same thing for your life. If you can marry those 2 things and consistently over time continue to reassess, not just on an annual basis like New Year's resolutions, but as life changes, if you can keep those 2 things in balance, you will be a far happier entrepreneur than if you let yourself just have your business take over your life.
I love it. And VTO, and I know what a VTO is because I went through Vision Traction Organizer, right? Yes. So for those of you that haven't been it, once again, Sue Hawks, I'm holding up your book again if you're watching it, Chasing Perfection. Excellent book, and you're doing some great work, Sue. If people want to reach out to you, learn more about you, what is the best way?
Either sayyes.com with 2 Y's in the middle, 2 S's on the end, or SueHawks.com. You can reach us many ways. Like you, I have one website for all the coursework and one for the book and the speaking.
Very cool. All right, Sue. Thank you so much. And I know our first podcast interview that got corrupted really was record breaking awesome. But I think we brought it to the next level. So
we absolutely did. We absolutely did.
I love it.
We're so on your game today.
Right back at you. Well, thank you, Sue. I really appreciate your time and honored that you're on the show. And I wish you continued massive success.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Avanti family. Appreciate your time as well. Before we go, I just want to remind you, AvantiEntrepreneur.com. That's our website. This podcast interview is there with show notes, over 150 more info on our services, our events, etc. AvantiEntrepreneur.com. Thanks again, Sue. Thanks again, Avanti family. Have a great day and stay awesome.